Hello, everyone. I just introduced myself. I hope you had a nice coffee break. And now I want to talk to you a little bit about the improvement pathways towards sustainability and our development of the how-to guidelines to inspire your product ideas. This follows the line that we have been hearing from Andreas with the self-diagnosis tool on how are we, for example, mapping products and kind of prioritizing the specific products that you would like to move forward. And then with Nicola, we went into the definition of very concrete examples of what could be done. So and now with these how-to guidelines, we're trying to inspire your product ideas, but also to serve, to give you somehow like a complementary tool to support your sustainability performance. So here we have the how-to guidelines. These ones are kind of easy to read brochure-like documents that will support hotels and tourism operators to educate about key sustainability challenges, for example, to provide practical actions for key sustainability impact areas, but also to inspire, to ignite this inspiration for sustainability action, and also to try to move forward your ideas that you will probably be having based on the evaluation that you have done with your self-diagnosis tool. So here we have 4 main topics that follow more or less the main challenges that we have been talking about in the previous workshops. These are conserving biodiversity, community development, energy consumption management, and also waste management. So the structure of each one of these how-to guidelines follow these 5 main chapters. First, we have initially an introduction of a description of the current challenge or situation locally in Mauritius, and how and which are, for example, key facts that are needed to support the action on each one of these challenges that we have mentioned. So for example, we have here a key fact that 18% of the greenhouse gas emissions in Mauritius come directly from electricity that is purchased and used by hotels and restaurants. So this introduction and key facts is somehow like the story of why we should engage action, and that could be transferred into operations for TOs and also for hotels. So we, at the end of this document, we also have, besides the actions, we have a short survey that will basically build in a very short way, in a very fast way, some kind of an awareness of where the organization is located in this particular challenge, for example, or if they are complying with basic actions that could drive somehow a sustainability performance in each one of these 4 main challenges. And at the end of this document, we have a selection of 2 or 3 international best case examples, so that it will help you to get inspired on, for example, on how to apply tourism products based on each one of these challenges, for example. So here I just wanted to briefly show you how does each one of these brochures look like. So here, for example, we have the energy consumption management brochure. So we have here an introduction on how this looks, and which are, for example, key facts with graphs, for example, that explains the current situation of energy in Mauritius. I also want to thank Nicola and Sarah for creating these beautiful documents. So it's, as you can see, these are very easy to read. These are very practical, and we're going to provide you, let's say, some kind of a beta version of these documents. So we would like you to see them and to read them. And also, if you have any further comment or suggestion, we will really appreciate to have your feedback. Moving forward with the guideline. Okay, this is the introduction and the key facts. We move into, for example, actions that can be done by tourism operators or hotels. So for example, here we have the community development action part, and we have here different kinds of areas where you can create positive impacts. So here, for example, we have for tourism operators, we have product development and marketing that could be improved, or local sustainability initiatives that could be improved. And for hotels, we have here actions that addresses community relations, or for example, community economy chapters. And as I mentioned before, the how-to guideline of or the improvement guideline has some kind of an evaluation. So this is basically a very brief checklist where you can select yes or no if you're having specific, let's say, activities or actions within your organization. And later on, we're going to go deeper into this in the next interactive session. But this is just to briefly show you how this looks. So here we are, for example, in the waste management brochure, and we also have here one selection of a best practice in the international landscape. And here, for example, they're using reusable glass bottles from local suppliers. This is done by the Hilton. Yeah, just they are trying to address somehow circular economic concepts in the topic of waste management. That could be just an example so that you can ignite inspiration. We have here, for example, other best practices here. This one refers to biodiversity. For example, this one is from the Four Seasons Hotel in Seychelles. This is where hotels are actually inviting tourists to be part of a reef restoration process and learning all about, for example, coral biology and threats to the reef. So if you think about what Nicola mentioned before of having, let's say, a 3D coral reef in your hotel to explain a little bit the functions of the reefs, and then having, for example, this kind of invitation with another organization on how to be part of efforts of restoration, this could be already, let's say, a benefit for several reasons. For example, customers want to learn something, customers want to be part in solving environmental problems, customers want to have a unique experience that they can be proud of. And at the same time, these needs or these new kinds of tourism types that are coming now that we explained in our last workshop, such as experiential tourism, for example, are addressing these challenges that are currently happening in Mauritius and many other places in the world, such as loss of ecosystem services, for example, in coastal areas, loss of coral reef degradation, and of course, the challenges, the lack of tourist engagement in coral reef conservation, for example, for this particular example. So I think that Mauritius can actually be part of this and could have learnings for replicating these kinds of examples, and at the same time addressing important SDGs, such as the one mentioned here. We have here SDG 13 with climate action, SDG 14 with life below water, SDG 17 with partnerships for the goals. So this is just one example from Seychelles. Also, as I mentioned before, food is a very interesting, let's say, area that could be explored to develop new products and tours, for example. And I briefly mentioned this part of food in the previous interactive session. And I think that this is a great opportunity for Mauritius, since there's lots of different cultures and different tastes and different colors. And this is, I believe, it is a great opportunity for developing products and tours as well. So for example, here I have an example from India that, of course, the experience can learn how to cook with locals while getting in close contact with their families, for example, and getting to know their culture. So for me, food is one of the best ways to really know a place and to really know how people live. And like I mentioned before, these are addressing customer needs on getting, for example, new and unique experiences with the locals, having an opportunity to get in touch with a local family, and at the same time addressing challenges, for example, of having limited outdoor food spaces and alternatives to, for example, collaborate with your local community. For example, if you're in a hotel or if you want to drive a tourism a package. So here we have SDGs that are connected as well. We have SDG 8 for decent work and economic growth, SDG 11, sustainable cities and communities, and SDG 12, responsible consumption and production. And this could be, let's say, areas where your organization can, let's say, communicate and say, okay, we're addressing these kinds of SDGs, and we differentiate from, let's say, traditional offers. Sorry. And finally, for this set of examples, I wanted to bring also an example from G Adventures for products where travelers can participate actively in ancient pottery. This is also an interesting way to learn how a culture and local traditional practices are have been part of the island, for example. Here we have that customers want to have a unique experience as well, get a personalized souvenir as well, and of course, knowing culture and traditions. Some challenges, of course, tourism negatively impacts local communities, and there's, let's say, a need of having more engagement of tourists with local culture, and at the same time, provide jobs for the locals and communities. And at this precise example, we have here a challenge of lack of women empowerment. So this is an interesting approach on how can hotels or tourism operators address these current challenges. And here for this particular one, we have the SDGs 1, no poverty, as a main linkage with this activity, SDG 8, decent work and economic growth, and SDG 10, reduced inequalities. So this is, I just wanted to bring these examples of what is, or which are examples that are embedded in these how-to guidelines that we will provide you. And we have examples for each one of the 4 different categories that we mentioned. We have biodiversity, community development, energy consumption management, and waste management. So we hope that that this will ignite some inspiration as a complementary, let's say, tool set, or let's say brochure-like document that you can just keep, let's say, printed or in a virtual document in your computer to follow up. So this is my session for the description of the how-to guidelines.